Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
He had come home, farted at me after I assumed.
I just need to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. Did you fart in her face? The whole purpose behind law is to right wrong. I want justice to be something that isn't this foreign concept.
Justice knows no boundaries. The truth will be heard. Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Vincent Posada is suing his former roommate Carmela Ortiz in the amount of $596. He says after pulling a prank on the defendant, she viciously attacked him, resulting in a chipped tooth.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. Mr. Posada, we got an issue here about you getting your tooth knocked out.
Yes, Your Honor, that's correct. Here's a picture of what she did, yes. And that's the bill.
596, the damage here, and let's talk about what happened. Ooh, that's the tooth. It chipped.
Yeah, it was.
You didn't lose your tooth, but you chipped it.
Chipped it, yeah.
Ouch. Let's take a look at that on the plasma. Yeah. And Miss Ortiz?
Yes.
What happened here?
Well, I've been living with Vince for a little while now. My sister.
Platonic, or are you all in a relationship?
We are not in a relationship. My sister.
I want to make that clear.
I want to make that clear. I simply was looking for a roommate, and my sister knew him. She met him at a open mic because he's a struggling comedian.
All right. Well, how did the tooth end up getting chipped?
Basically, it's going to sound a little gross, but Vince is lactose intolerant, and I don't know why, given his age, he's not in 3rd grade anymore, but
I like ice cream.
He
Who
finds...
doesn't like ice cream?
I love ice cream.
I love ice cream too.
Right, and he knows what ice cream does to him because he's lactose intolerant, and he tends to...
I know what ice cream can do to you.
However, I don't like having ice cream thrown at my face, and that's actually what she used to chip my tooth.
That is not what happened at all.
It was a frozen hard brick of ice cream.
Vince, so I out of nowhere just threw ice cream at you.
Yeah, you threw a pint of ice cream at me.
I'm pretty sure that I was taking a nap. He had come home, farted at me after I assumed...
I just need to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. Did you fart in her face?
Well, technically, I guess in a way, yeah.
He did fart in my face.
I walked
past her. It's not something you can be confused about.
Her face just happened to be right by there when I was walking.
There's nothing confusing about the smell.
No doubt about that one.
It does seem funny on the surface, but
You're like, I wasn't laughing at the time.
I was not, because I do put up I put up with it from time to time.
Put up with what?
His farting and his comedy act, and I support him.
Well, what does one have to do with the other? Are you saying that he just has a problem passing gas a lot?
He does, but he does it deliberately to be funny.
Oh, you think it's a joke?
I don't think it's a joke, but I think that's why she immediately got up.
You don't think it's a joke?
She ran to the freezer,
But I'm
grabbed
a
my
little
ice cream. She's like, "This is why you fart all the time. I blame this ice cream," and she chucked it at my face.
You know when you're getting ready to pass some gas. You know that. So why? So if nothing else, even when you felt the sensation of what was getting ready to happen, you would go, okay, let me step away. So for you to go right where she was, and she happened to be sleeping, and you let it rip, that's foul. Pun intended.
So what followed after that happening is that I was asleep, I got farted on, I turned and kicked, and he tripped and hit his tooth. I was not violently chucking an ice cream at you.
Well, where does the ice cream come into play?
Because he was eating it.
But then she also
Because it makes him fart.
No, I get that. Ice cream makes people fart. I get it.
First she jumped up, she kicked me, ran towards the kitchen, grabbed the ice cream out of the freezer, and she's like, "You need to stop eating this."
I did not jump up and pull a ninja move on him. It was a simple reaction to him farting at me, and he tripped. He's just trying to get more money because he knows he can't pay me back.
You don't have to talk loud for me to hear you. I'm right here.
Yes.
What I'm trying to understand is, one of you has what happened wrong. Because you're saying she went over to the freezer, threw the ice cream, and you chipped your tooth. You're saying you kicked him because you reacted, and then as a result of the kick, did he fall?
Yes.
both of you were in your right mind, how are the stories so different?
Well, she was drunk, Your Honor, so she wasn't
Now
in
I
her
was
right
drunk.
She was.
I'm sorry, but if anyone was drunk, I didn't want to bring this up because I don't have hate towards you, Vince.
Coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
But you've seen him drunk.
Yes, I've seen him
Have you ever
drunk.
seen her drunk?
No.
Has there been anything in your presence regarding this farting?
Oh boy, has there.
And later,
Finally, they're like, okay, and they move the car, and he comes literally falling out of the porta potty, and he only has his boxers on. He has like throw up on his face.
closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. We're back with the case of Vincent Posada, who is suing Carmela Ortiz to recoup medical expenses.
Okay, and so you're saying that while she was asleep,
She was passed out drunk, I believe.
So she was passed out drunk.
I believe he said I
No,
was napping
okay, you're
before.
interrupting me. I got this. You're saying you came home. Had you been drinking?
Yeah, I just come home from work. I just got off of a.
Okay.
I was doing
So
a show.
you're admitting to have had consumed alcohol. If you are in a bar and you're working as a comedian and typically they are given drinks, the inference is you would have been the one drinking and she would not have been the one, because if she's asleep, unless she was just so wasted that she comes out of a sleep from a fart and then starts doing all of that, that doesn't make sense. Because your stories are totally different. You have someone here. Who is this person?
This is my sister, Jessica.
Come on up. Also Ortiz, Miss Ortiz?
Yes, sir.
All right, Jessica, why are you here?
Well, I wasn't there for this particular incident, but I do know Vince. I met him at a comedy club.
She's the one who pointed me to him when I was looking for a roommate.
Okay. But you've seen him drunk.
Yes, I have
Have
seen
you
him
ever
drunk.
seen her drunk?
No.
Has there been anything in your presence regarding this farting?
Oh boy, has there. That seems to be a regular part of his act. He did make a lot of fart jokes during his act, and he does tend to fart a lot on purpose. And, you know, there's the occasional slip up, but he does think it's funny to fart on people and around people.
And I have made it clear I do not think it's funny.
Your sister's a big girl. She can talk for herself. Go ahead.
Yes, she has made it clear. Several of us, when we've hung out together, he's inappropriately just let it rip. And just thinks it's the funniest thing in the world and likes to do it regularly, and everybody's expressed that it's just disgusting. Nobody wants to be around it. He still does it. He just thinks it's funny.
Okay. What was his sobriety like that night?
He was not stumbling when he came in, but he was noticeably drunk. And he has a history of being fairly aggressive when he is drunk, and he definitely has a history of not being in control physically when he's drunk. I don't want to infer anything because I know you're a fact-by-fact type of judge, but if I had kicked him, first of all, I was half asleep. It was not a hard kick. It's simply a reaction. Him falling may have been brought on by the fact that he had been drinking and did not have complete physical control of himself.
Okay. You know what you need to work on? You like to control situations. That's not going to work up in here. Your sister was good. Ma'am, you can have a seat. I get it. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the defendant. Because out of everyone that was talking, not real crazy about you, you're a little mouthy, but your sister, she was solid. Because basically she gave me what I needed, because I do believe that you were under the influence of alcohol. That's consistent with what I, just in my own personal experience, of comedians who perform at clubs. Now, had you said I had a gig 2 days ago, then maybe. But if you had just came home from that gig, from the bar, you had had some alcohol in you. And the other issue is, whether you realize it or not, when I talked about the chain of events, when you farted on her, that was an assault. You don't have to put your hands on someone to assault them. If you spit on them, if you do something, you know, so to expose someone to some smelly odor,
So you're going to say you've never farted next to or around
you're not
anybody,
talking.
so you've
You're not
assaulted
talking right
people
now.
that-
You're not talking right now, because I've already decided. That was nasty. That was gross. That was kitty-like. You know, you're a man, but you're acting like a baby. So to me, you're a man baby. You're a maybe. And that's why you're struggling. Because that's immature. Your matter's dismissed. Grow up. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
Vince can fart all he wants now. I don't have to pay for any of it.
I didn't win the case. I guess I broke wind, and now I have to pay for my broken tooth.
And coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Finally, they're like, okay. And they move the car, and he comes literally falling out of the porta potty. And he only has his boxers on. He has, like, throw up on his face.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Gerald Seward is suing business owner Donovan Diaz in the amount of $5,000. He says the defendant's employees locked him in a porta potty. Mr. Diaz claims the plaintiff was trespassing and his workers were sick of people messing up their restroom.
Mr. Seward, you're suing Mr. Diaz over an unfortunate situation that you had to endure.
Yes, Your Honor.
To the tune of $5,000. Talk to me. What happened?
Well, what happened was my girlfriend and I were celebrating our 3-month anniversary of meeting each other.
3 months? We're celebrating 3 months now, huh? Is that a new thing? We can't even get to a year. We're going to celebrate 3 months, huh? All right.
It was a special case, Your Honor.
Okay.
And so we decided to spend that time during a weekend at Miami at South Beach.
Okay. Nice place.
And, you know, we were enjoying a wonderful time, having a wonderful weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And on a Saturday, we went over to a seafood place, enjoyed a nice lunch, had some wine, and then we went to have a walk on the beach.
I like it. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, nature was calling. So I had to go really, really bad, to the point where there were no facilities around except for some porta potties that were nearby.
Now, did you walk to the seafood restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. So you pretty much knew you were going just back the same route you had already taken.
Yes.
And it was all that wine probably that got you to the point where you had to go relieve yourself, I take it.
Yes, it
All
was, Your Honor. And so, you know, like, not regarding anything else, I went to the porta potties, went in, and just as I was starting to go, I heard a truck pull up, and then my girlfriend started yelling and screaming.
Is this your girlfriend here?
Yes.
Ma'am,
yes, it is,
support?
Your Honor.
And your name?
I'm Marie Wilkes.
So, Ms. Wilkes, you were outside of the porta potties while Mr. Seward was inside.
Yes.
What was going on outside while he was inside?
So he went in very quickly, and then I noticed pretty much right after he went in that 2 of the construction workers got in their car, which was really close to the porta potties, and they reversed it so that he couldn't get out of the porta potty. They reversed the car so it was up against the door. And I'm yelling and telling them, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, he's claustrophobic already, so being stuck in a porta potty is not a good thing. And I'm asking them, please, can you just move the car? And they're laughing, and they think it's the funniest thing ever, saying, oh, you're trespassing.
Put a pin in that. Is that true?
Your Honor, I was not there. But I was informed that something like that happened.
Okay. And so why are you here? Was it your company?
Yes, it is.
All right. So why would your workers do that? Especially when Ms. Wilkes is saying there's somebody in the porta potty.
Well, Your Honor, we're working in a new construction. It's a new restaurant right off the beach.
Okay.
And, you know, we have porta potties for my workers.
Okay.
And so, you know, they complain to me that they are tired of people coming in, using the facilities, and not only using it, sometimes they pee and they throw up, and, you know, my workers, they had to come and use it because they have very short breaks.
So your workers, these porta potties were set aside specifically for them to complete this construction task?
Yes, Your Honor. And this very clearly marked as a no trespassing, private property, no trespassing signs all over.
But it's on the public beach, right?
No, it's not. It's a private property.
Is that true? Were you on private property?
Yes, the porta potties were on private property, Your Honor. However,
so then you were trespassing.
Nature was calling, and like the nearest restroom was like farther away.
I understand when nature calls. You were trespassing.
Coming up on America's Court.
Finally, they're like, okay, and they move the car, and he comes literally falling out of the porta potty. And he only has his boxers on. He has like, throw up on his face.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. We're back with the case of Gerald Seward, who is suing Donovan Diaz for emotional distress.
Let's talk about this claustrophobia. You both mentioned that.
Yes, Your Honor. I have been...
What do you have there? What are you going through?
I have some paperwork describing the medication that I now have to take because of my incident with the porta potty. And like I've been severely claustrophobic ever since I was a child.
Oh, I see. When you say severe, I mean, is it...
Yeah, like I break out and sweat very easily. Mm-hmm. My heart is pounding like faster than I could count. My pulse is racing, and like I can hardly breathe.
Oh, I see. So this was a big deal.
It was. It really was.
And finally, did they say, okay, we'll let him out, sort of thing? Is that what happened?
Finally, they're like, okay, and they move the car, and he comes literally falling out of the porta potty, and he only has his boxers on. He has like, throw up on his face. Not a good image.
So much for the beautiful walk on the beach and the seafood and the wine. All that just came up.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff. Here's the issue. Once he was in there for a few seconds and then the workers kept him there, that was false imprisonment. You don't have consent, and it's done without authority of law, and someone suffers injuries. You have met the burden. Now he's saying it was emotional distress. The question is, this is a court of equity and fairness as well. And if he willfully trespassed, to some extent, he contributed to that. The $5,000 that you're asking for, that's not going to happen. But I do see that you have been taking medication, that you're in therapy, and I think you need to make sure your workers are not behaving in a way that exposes you to liability. Your judgment, sir, will be $1,500. That is the order. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $1,500.
I got $1,500, but this is going to scar me for life.
I hope he learns to respect private property.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.